Welcome back to part 3 of restoring the Subaru WRX 2005 Blob Eye. So today we are going to be changing the colour of the calipers and refurbishing them because they're looking a bit rough at the moment. We're also going to be changing 2 of the stub hub bolts because they're worn out and we need to replace those because the nuts aren't actually screwing onto them because the threads have worn out. We're also going to be refurbishing the driver's side and passenger side quarter pillar trim. We're going to change the battery, refurbish the windscreen wipers as well because they're looking really rough, and it's just little bits like that we need to get sorted. And to finish it all off, I'm going to be replacing the roof trims because they are broken and the roof trim doesn't sit down properly, so they're going to be getting replaced as well, and that will top it off. If you're new here, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. We've got more videos like this coming soon, so stay tuned for that. Enjoy the rest of the video. So first of all, I'm just prepping the car to get ready for paint because I'm going to be sanding these calipers down and I'm going to be respraying them. At the moment, I'm removing the front 4-pot brake pad pin fitting kit, which is basically the pins coming out now, which you've just seen, and the little pan plate, and now removing the brake pads. As you can see, I'm pressing back the piston, so when I go to put them back in, it's not an issue. You don't have to do this, but I like to do this just so no paint can get onto my discs or anywhere inside of the inside of a caliper. So I like to put a bag in between because it fits nice and perfect. This is just a standard size shopping bag. And now I'm prepping it with masking tape on the areas that I don't want any paint to land on. Moving on to sanding the calipers, I start off with a 120, then I work up to a 240, then a 360, and I like to finish off with a 600, so that's what I'm going to be doing now. Give it a quick wipe down to get all that dust off, and now we can move on to priming it. You don't want to go on too heavy once you're priming, you just want to lightly dust it on so it dries quicker. This might seem longer, but in the long run it is actually quicker because when it's just misty coats and not really thick heavy ones where it's dripping wet, it dries a lot quicker and you can put more coats on through that time. Four coats later, and this is what it looks like from my perspective. Now all we need to do is wait for it to dry and then we can get on to painting it the colour we have chosen. But for the meantime, while I wait for that to dry, I'm going to sand down the little pins that it has, which is part of that fitting kit. So I'm going to sand them down and then I'm going to paint them gloss black just so it goes with the new colour of the new calipers, because I think the colour I've gone for will look too much in the same colour as the pins. So I'm using black in gloss black to make it stand out, as I think personally it will give it a better look and it'll stand out more. The pins are all sanded down, ready for painting, and now the calipers have dried, so I'm now going to paint those. And as you can see, I've chosen a satin gold, which I think will suit the car. Personally, I don't want red, which a lot of people go for. I think it's too common. But I've gone with gold this time, and I'm hoping it's going to turn out nicely. And I'm going to use black lettering on the Subaru where it's engraved, just so it stands out better, because obviously all in gold, you're not going to see the writing is clear. And I think it will go well with the gloss black pins. Plus, I'm getting some darker colour alloys soon, and I think with the new alloys it will stand out so well with this colour. So I'm on to about my third coat now of spraying it gold. So while I wait for that to dry, I'm now going to spray my pins in gloss black, and then whilst they're drying, I'll get back onto the calipers when they're dry. And in the meantime, I'm just going to sand this other one down, which is the bottom one, and once that's done, I can wipe it off and spray it gloss black again. And now finally onto my fifth coat. It is all dry, and now I'm going to add the Subaru lettering. This is on a sticker that I got from eBay. I'll put the link in the description down below if you want them. Obviously make sure the caliper is dry before you put the sticker on, otherwise if you put it on when the paint is wet, obviously it's not going to stick well and paint will smudge and it will not stick and it will not work. So here's me peeling it off, and now it is all done. And now once that's stuck on, I'm going to spray it with some clear lacquer just so the sticker stays on and it gives that gold look and more shine to it. Once that's all dry, you can then take apart all the bags and all the masking tape, and now you can start rebuilding the caliper back together. So put your pads back in and then put on the fitting kit, and with these black pins you can just tell already that it sets the look off with a gold caliper, especially with a black sticker. I think it has made it look really nice. So here's a recap of what it did look like, and here's what it looks like now. It looks so much better than before. And now we move on to the back, and we're just going to repeat the same thing, but first of all I'm going to change the studs because I don't want to do the caliper and then change the studs because I don't want the paint getting damaged. So again, we're just removing the caliper parts, and then we're going to remove the caliper itself this time. So we're going to remove the two nuts at the back, which are 14 mils. And then once they're removed, just remove the caliper from the brake disc and then put it to one side. And then once that's out of the way, we can then move on to removing the brake disc itself. Here are the studs that are really worn out. As you can see, there is hardly any thread left, and some of them have no threads left at all at the beginning, so we need to replace those. So the brake disc is now being removed, and now you can see the shoes behind the brake disc, and we just need to remove these screws here. Once all the little gold screws are removed, remove that little pin there. Be careful because it does shoot straight out and it is quite hard to get without it just springing straight at you. Once that's removed, I then started hammering the stud to get it out to release it because it's stuck solid, and I do that with both of those. They are quite a pain to get out, but there is a way of doing it. You push it back with a screwdriver and then try and edge it out underneath the ABS ring, and then once you get that out, it's then the hard part of getting them back in, but once they're in, it isn't too hard. Here are the old ones, they've definitely served their time, and the new ones are now in, they just need pressing in properly. I'll use the hammer to bring it back. Be careful not to break your ABS ring behind, because you don't want to be doing that. And then just to try them out before I put the wheel back on, I've got my nut which fits straight on, so that's all good. And now moving on, I've put the caliper and everything back together, and I'm now restoring it. And I've cut it all straight on to the end, because you see what I did in the last one of how I restored that. So there it is now with no sticker on, painted front and back, because I like to do it all out. And then the sticker will be put on after, and it's just the same steps as I showed previously with the first one. So moving on, I am now removing my battery because the car keeps failing to start because of this one, because it's so old now. So I bought the exact same one, as it's lasted quite a few years apparently. It is a Yuasa 5000. And you can see now how dirty the old one was compared to the new one. All I need to do now is back in place is reconnect the terminals. Now I can finally hear again after that painful time of changing that battery. The whole time that siren was going off, as there's no way disarming my car alarm whilst the battery is off, because it's got a backup battery in the siren, and it was a nightmare. I'm just glad my ears aren't bleeding anymore. I've never changed a battery so fast in my life, but there you go, I don't wish that on anyone. And now for a subtle little mod, I've been waiting to put this on for so long. It's a WRX battery holder, like a little clamp. The original one is just a black plate and it just looks crap, but I've now got a WRX one, as the car is a WRX, it's not the STI, and I think it gives it a little subtle look. The little mods are the ones that make the biggest difference. And now I'm just attaching that on with the rods. I've got new rods as well, as the old ones were rusted and one of them snapped whilst I was taking it off. It had been on there that long, and it just gives the car a cleaner look. So the battery's clean, the clamps are clean, the rod's clean, and the new clamp is clean, so everything is just looking sweet. And just to make sure everything's working correctly, we'll give it a little start. And as you can see, it has worked, so the car's working with the battery, which is what we want. So the battery's done, and now we can move on to the really mingy, scabby looking windscreen wipers. I've been wanting to restore these for ages, I just never got around to doing it. So now I'm finally doing it, and I can't wait, because these have been doing my head in, as they just ruin the look of the car. It's the little things again that matter. So we're going to remove those, and then we're going to get them sanded down and resprayed. I'm going to prime them as well, just because I want the black to really stand out. I don't want it to go all flaky and peel off after a certain amount of time. I do actually want these to last. So let's get on with removing them, and remove the little rubber wipers as well, because you don't want to spray those, as you want it to ruin the wiper itself. So we can move those and get onto the main metal frame itself. These don't take much sanding, and all I'm using is a 600 disc on the electric sander, and that is literally it all the way through until it's smooth, and so it doesn't have any rough manky bits that are sticking out or any paint flake anywhere. You want that all smooth and gone. So I've now finished sanding, it's all wiped down, and this is the finished product of it being sanded. As you can see, not all the paint is off, but it doesn't need to be all off, it just needs to be smooth and perfect, ready for paint. And as you can see in here, it is. So now we can get on to priming it and then painting it. I'm going to paint mine in gloss black. So it's all hung up ready to be sprayed. Remember, light misty coats with the primer again so it dries quicker. You don't need a lot on your first coat. I done 3 coats in total with a primer, and then once that was dry I done 4 coats with a gloss black. You don't want to go too heavy with a gloss black either if you want it to look glossy, because you want the gloss to actually shine. Putting too heavy of gloss on will make it look a satin finish, so just take it easy while you're spraying it in gloss. Just lightly go over it. So this is it now finished, a couple coats later, and it is looking so much better than what it did previously. It looked so scabby before, but now this is going to make the car look so much more cleaner than what it did. The gloss has gone perfect, and I can't wait to get them back on the car. The last bit of painting is this quarter pillar trim, and these look really minging too. I've been wanting to change these since I got the car, and now it's finally time. As you can see, all the paint's flaked off, even from factory. These don't come chrome, but it's going back chrome, so they need to be taken off and resprayed. I'm going to do them in gloss black as well to match with the front windscreen wipers. So all you need to do is pull down the rubbers and then unscrew all the screws. You've got to do it from the front to the back because they have a weld in between the top. I thought where this point is now that you'd be able to just pull the back piece off, but you can't. You've got to pull the full trim off, unfortunately, so I had to move on to the front. Same procedure at the front, just unscrew and pull down that rubber bit and then take it off. There's a clip in the back bit, but that's it. As you can see, that's where it's been spot welded, just there, and that is why you can't just take the back piece off. What I just showed now is where the 2 clips were. Now we're going to sand it down with an 800. I only used 800 because it's only smooth and it doesn't need to be rough and then smoothed out. It just needs to be lightly sanded over from front to the back. And then we'll get to spraying it straight on to gloss black, because I'm not going to prime this. I'm literally just going to spray it in gloss black. Moving back to the wipers, I'm now going to reinstall them. So all you need to do is the same procedure as when we took them off. Put the nut back on, tighten it up, make sure they're all in line properly, and that is it. Back to the quarter pillar trims, I'm now getting ready to spray them, and again, like I said before, they're going in gloss black. So here's what they look like before, and this is what they look like after in gloss black, and it looks so good. And now we can reinstall them both back onto the car. Now that the quarter pillar trims are done, we can now move on to the last bit of the video, and that is literally just removing the roof trim and changing the clips underneath, as they are all broken and don't clip down properly. So here it is, there's the part number on the packaging, and now we just need to remove the old ones and install the new clips. And there you go guys, that is it all done. If you did enjoy and you are new to the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching.